All right, I think we're live. Thank you everybody here for joining back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. We're going to be talking about a major winter storm that is likely to unfold from Texas and the southern plains area all the way across portions of the deep south, the mid-south, and even into parts of the mid-Atlantic, the southeast, all across this weekend. So that's something we're going to keep an eye on as we go through the week. We're going to be going through the dynamics of why we see this system and what we are seeing right now with the latest alerts. Let's pull this screen up real quick. There are currently in the medium blue shaded colors. Those are winter storm warnings that are already issued by your local National Weather Services up here in Little Rock. Also back here in the DFW area in Shreveport, they have gone ahead and put a winter storm watch in place in these medium blues from parts of southeast Oklahoma into north and northeast Texas. Much of the state of Arkansas here, exception is northwest Arkansas, that's not in the watch currently. Far northern tier counties here in Louisiana, northern Mississippi, and so far western Tennessee. And I actually expect this to expand a little bit further off toward the east as we do go further into time, more into middle and eastern Tennessee, perhaps northern Alabama, northern Georgia, and parts of the Carolinas and into Virginia that could probably see more of those winter storm watches or at least winter weather advisories as we do get closer toward this event. Very interesting as well, here in the purples, we are into southern New Mexico and far west Texas. Those are winter weather advisories here. That's where we're already seeing some winter weather and likely to see that as we go into Wednesday as well. So let's dive into some of the details here. Let's look here currently actually at the snow cover across North America, because very interesting here. We're going to zoom it all the way out here to the North American view and show you the snow cover. And look at all the blues there. That's where the snow is currently on the ground, at least here an inch of snow. And you can see in the orange, those are ice areas with ice into the Hudson Bay, for example, up there into the Arctic, as well as some of the lakes there in Canada. And yeah, we're seeing quite a bit of snow a little bit further south than you typically see it in the winter, at least the last few winters. And notice down here into northern Oklahoma, we have some snow on the ground, northwest Arkansas already, Kentucky with our last snowstorm, northern Virginia as well, something to keep a very close eye on. Here's the snow totals, the actual snow totals we are seeing here so far to date across portions of the United States. Notice the heaviest amounts are across the Intermountain West out here into portions of the upper Midwest as well, especially up in North Dakota, northern Minnesota, the UP of Michigan, for example, with the lake effect snow, some very heavy snowstorms to start the season over here in the Northeast. And then our most recent storm from Kansas that dumped nearly 2 feet of snow in Northeast Kansas with a blizzard, and then across portions of the Ohio Valley. We don't see the snow line further south yet, but things are going to be changing here. Let's look at the latest guidance. This is the European model, and let's put this on the screen for you folks here. This is the 12Z guidance from the European model, and we're going to go over what the latest weather models are beginning to show for some winter weather out there for any snow lovers across the deep south. So let's look at this real quick. This is currently this afternoon. Notice we have 3 areas of high pressure here, and all of them are 1,030 or 1,035, 1,040, something to keep an eye on. And you can definitely see we have some snow that is starting to move across Colorado as well. It's very light, though. We're seeing a very light signal of snow here. And then as we go into tonight, we're going to see the snowfall continue to break out there where those winter weather advisories are across Arizona, especially into southern New Mexico, West Texas. That's our start of our system. Here's the European model as far as the storm is concerned across the deep south. So here we go on, this is Wednesday, okay, January 8th. This is tomorrow, and we have the low pressure system developing somewhere in northern Mexico or West Texas, and we have a mix of rain and snow. Yes, the snow line going all the way down into northern Mexico. This is Wednesday evening, going into Thursday morning. This is around daybreak or so on Thursday, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. Notice we're starting to see some pinks down here in West Texas. That does mean we're going to start to see wintry precipitation a little bit further to the south here. And you can see, just one second, my cat wants out here. And you can see the wintry precipitation. I'm sorry, folks. My cat is going to probably run in and out multiple times, so I apologize. Hopefully that doesn't wreck the live stream. Anyway, we are definitely seeing some snowfall across the northern plains as we go into Thursday morning. That is our northern stream energy that's coming in. Our southern stream energy with a positively tilted trough coming in here as well into West Texas. And then we're going to start to see more of that coming together, what we call phasing of the jet streams. Okay, so if we go to the jet stream on here, real quick, 500 millibars. Notice how we see this big old, almost like a horseshoe looking thing, or like an anchor, all the way down here into portions of the Baja of California. That is the northern stream energy coming down, but notice we have that trough. It's positively tilted, and that's the southern stream energy. It's going to start to meet up in the middle, somewhere over Oklahoma, over Texas, over Arkansas, and this could bring some wintry weather as we go deeper in towards the day on Thursday. So here we go. We're going to kind of zoom it into the central view so you can see this a little bit better. All right, so here we go on Thursday, across portions there of Texas, and then you could see as we go through the day, we got freezing rain, sleet, and snow, and this does include the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so we definitely could be seeing some frozen precipitation as far south here as Dallas-Fort Worth at this point as we go into the day on Thursday. Snowfall breaking out across Oklahoma on this model. Little Rock, Arkansas, starting to see that. Those are some of the areas that are under that winter storm watch currently. And then look at the snowfall really picks up there. Little Rock all the way down to Texarkana, Memphis, and northern portions there of Mississippi, northern Alabama. We really start to see that snow fill in as we go through the day on Friday now. This is Friday morning, and then that moves off further to the east. Let's look at the eastern look here, and you can see this is Friday afternoon. We're seeing heavy snow breaking out in places like Memphis, Nashville, all the way up there into the Evansville area, and then further to the south, look at that, Atlanta, the Huntsville, the Florence, Alabama area, Tupelo, Mississippi, Yazoo City. Some of these areas could definitely see some heavier snowfall, some wintry precipitation as we go through the day on Friday. The European model going into Saturday morning has more snow up here into the mid-Atlantic, although lighter snowfall with some pockets of moderate snow. It does have an ice event across North Carolina as we go through on Saturday, and then it moves off the coast. It's more of a suppressed look across the east. It doesn't really bring a huge doozy of a snowstorm across the New England coast, but definitely something to keep in mind. Let's go back to the central view. Let's look at the GFS model. This is the 18Z's coming in now. We're going to look at the 12Z data that has just come in earlier on around midday. Let's go back here to Thursday morning. This is 12Z on Thursday, which would be 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. And notice we got precipitation beginning to break out here in the Lone Star State of Texas. Looking as we go into Thursday afternoon, we got the snow. Notice the GFS brings the warm air advection with this system a little bit further to the north. So this actually means more rain along the I-35 corridor from maybe just south of Dallas toward Waco, all the way down to the coast of Texas. Western Louisiana is mostly rain, has the snow a little bit further north, so Oklahoma City, Tulsa, into southeast Oklahoma, we start to see more snowfall with a mixture of snow and rain with some sleet and freezing rain mixing in there in the DFW area. Dynamic cooling on the GFS model is actually going to lead to snow changeover sometime in the day on Thursday on the GFS model, bringing some heavier snow down into the DFW area. Little Rock, Memphis again, St. Louis could get some snow on this model. And then we transition over to the east view here, and you can see it brings the snow line even further south. So we have opportunity for some heavy snow in northern Mississippi, central, northern Alabama, central and northern Georgia here. And this would bring some heavy snow to places like Atlanta, and then changing over to freezing rain there could have an ice storm threat from North Georgia into South Carolina on this model run. And then this is more of an amplified look. As we go into Saturday, the disagreements here between the European model and the American GFS model is the European is more suppressed and further south, which results in little to no snow for the northeast coast and the I-95 corridor. Now, the GFS model has more heavy snow for the mid-Atlantic and the I-95 corridor, for example, Boston, Providence, Hartford, into portions of Long Island there near New York City, Trenton, something to keep an eye on there with the GFS model. Now we look at the probably unrealistic version. This is still an operational model, so we have to continue to look at it. This is the Canadian model. This is an outlier in my opinion. Looking at Thursday morning again, this is a colder solution, so it brings the snow line a little bit further to the south. Ice across central Texas on this run, and actually it breaks out a crippling ice storm across central and northeast Texas, southern Arkansas, and northern Louisiana. I don't think that is quite likely, but something we definitely have to keep in mind because it is a scenario that is possible because it's showing up here on the models. I just think this model is more of an outlier, but we still have to show it. So you can see the theme here is, again, heavy snow, DFW to Little Rock over here into Memphis, and then that transitions over in toward Nashville there. And then looking here at the east, you can see we're looking at snowfall on Friday into Saturday across portions of the Tennessee, Ohio River Valley into the Mid-Atlantic. Crazy ice storm with this run down here across Dixie Alley from Mississippi around the Jackson region up toward Tupelo into Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Montgomery, Atlanta. Just a massive ice storm on this run that transitions over to the Carolinas. And again, it's more of a suppressed look similar to the European. So that's the only thing I do agree with, or at least there's an agreement with anyway, between the European and the Canadian run is it's going to be more of a suppressed look, so less snow for the northeast coast and the I-95 corridor, whereas we go back to the GFS here, and it is actually showing a more amplified look in the storm system moving up the coast with heavy snow along or just southeast of the I-95 corridor, so something we'll have to monitor there. So let's look at some of the output of the models. Let's go back to the central look of some of the precipitation. Again, take this with a grain of salt. We are still well over 48 hours away from the beginning of this system, so things can still and obviously change. And we're going to get to your comments here just momentarily. Let's look at the winter. This is going to be a 10-to-1 ratio snow further to the south. And maybe even a 12-to-1 ratio in some areas, or sorry, maybe more of an 8-to-1 ratio in some areas further south like central Texas as we have some warmer air. So this is the snowfall output here from the European. We're going to go all the way to Saturday morning, and notice it is bringing some almost historic totals to places like Dallas, Fort Worth, Texarkana, Little Rock, all the way to Memphis here, even up toward Tupelo, and even in toward Chattanooga here. It's bringing some pretty heavy snow totals further to the south and even over a foot in some of these areas with snow. And this is just a 10-to-1 ratio. And you look here at the positive snow depth change. This is basically to take into account the warmer ground, the warmer air temperatures, and you can still see some decent totals here, 6 to 10 inches really from North Texas into Northeast Texas, Southeast Oklahoma, all the way up into Central Arkansas, lighter amounts as you go further to the north and east because it's still snowing here on this run. Let's look at the freezing rain. It's not too crazy with the freezing rain here in North Texas on the European model, maybe a 1/10 to a 1/4 of an inch at most, but it is still a lot of ice if you get up to a 1/4 inch of ice here in central Texas like Abilene or places like that, so that is something to keep an eye on. Let's look here at the GFS solution at 12Z for snowfall first, the 10-to-1 ratio. Very similar to the European, maybe just a little bit further north by 25, 30 miles here with the snowfall forecast, a little bit heavier as well for Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee. And notice here the snowfall is pretty heavy again for areas north of DFW, near the Red River Valley, and into southeast Oklahoma on the 6 to 10 inch range, into central Arkansas, northern Mississippi, southern Tennessee, and northern Alabama, and that extends over even into Georgia, and I don't believe you can see that just yet, maybe a little bit. Looking here at the freezing rain, it's again, just like the European model, is not really that high and mighty on a freezing rain event or an ice storm across Texas, which is certainly some good news, but it's still showing an output of some areas, isolated areas, getting a few hundredths to a 1/10 of an inch of ice, which would still make it very slick out there. Let's look at the Canadian run, the 10-to-1 ratio snow first. This run is more cold bias, and it's an outlier. So again, take this with a grain of salt, but we still have it as a scenario. So we'll look at it and see widespread 8 to 15 inches worth of snow here. This would take up residence across much of the Razorback state of Arkansas, up here into Oklahoma and the Lone Star state of North Texas there. We could be seeing some very heavy snow totals if the Canadian model actually did come to fruition. And then looking here at the freezing rain output, this is way overdone in my opinion. This is actually showing a crippling ice storm from central Texas through southern Arkansas, northern Louisiana, and into the Dixie Alley with over an inch of ice. I don't think that's going to happen. That is very unrealistic, I think, with looking at some of the storms of recent history and then the storms here that we are seeing and some of the dynamics coming together with this system. So Let's look at the east view as well. We don't want to leave our friends out in the east here, and then we're going to answer some questions. Let's look first at the European model for snowfall here across the east. Looking at the 10-to-1 ratio as well, we're going to go all the way to Sunday around the evening hours. And notice it doesn't have much of snowfall for the mid-Atlantic or the northeast coast, including the I-95 corridor. As we mentioned, the European model is more suppressed, so it is further south with the snow track and the low track as well. But it does bring a few inches of snow to places like Tennessee. So Memphis could see 7 inches on this model run, 3 to 4 inches there in Nashville, 3 to 4 inches there in Knoxville, and even a few inches to several inches there in northern Mississippi. I can see some 8 and 9 inch outputs there. Northwestern Alabama around Florence and Huntsville could see around 4 to 7 inches there on this model run, and then a little bit less on an order of 1 to 3 inches as the further north and east you go toward the mid-Atlantic and the northeast coast with the snowfall. Looking here at the European run on the freezing rain aspect of this, does bring a decent ice storm across, and we're going to have to keep an eye on this for the Carolinas, North Georgia, and Northeast Alabama. Some outputs here, widespread 10th to maybe a quarter of an inch of ice here, so that could be something to watch as we move forward to watch the trends on that. If we look at the GFS for ice, it is actually pretty bullish on that as well. This is the 18Z run, but here is the 12Z run, and you can see the GFS pretty bullish in that same zone, really, from northeast Alabama, North Georgia, getting through the Carolinas, and maybe a little further north with the ice there in coastal Virginia. Something to keep an eye on there. The GFS 10-to-1 ratio snow, pretty similar, a little bit more amped up here. With the 12Z run, we could have double-digit totals for snow into northeastern Mississippi, northern Alabama, showing some 10-inch totals in isolated areas. Again, that may be a little bit overdone, but I definitely think the snow line is further south on this model here into more of central Alabama and into central Georgia. Now, finally, looking at the Canadian model run here, you can see it's pretty bullish on the Tennessee Valley, seeing some pretty heavy snow. Nashville around 6 inches, Knoxville 6 inches, 9.5 inches there in Memphis, Little Rock over a foot at 13.4, and then you can see the freezing rain is just over the top on this model. I think it's very overdone. It has a widespread 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch ice storm from the Carolinas down into Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi. Again, this is well overdone, and that's why it's an outlier, so something we're going to keep an eye on. But right now, the GFS and the Euro are onto something. The Canadian model is an outlier here, a pretty cold bias on this model, so that is something we're definitely going to keep an eye on here. Let's go up here into the chat, and if you guys have any questions, anything that you want to ask about this storm in particular or the weather pattern into the middle of January, be sure to ask here in the live stream. We're going to be here for a little bit talking about any of the questions that you want answered. We're going to be here for you. Thanks everybody again for joining. If you are here, make sure to smash that like button. It's the thumbs up button down below. Share this with friends, family, and on social media, this live stream, to get the word out to more people. We're just going over some scenarios that could happen here, going over historical data as well. And again, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be posting an evening update video sometime around 9 p.m. Central Daylight Time here this evening, and we do that mostly every night. So we have 2 videos a day usually in the late morning, early afternoon, and then again in the evening. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel, turn on all post notifications, that post notification bell to turn it on to all, so you have all of those notifications when those videos do come out in the days coming up. So appreciate it. We are going to have one coming out this evening. All right, let's look here at the chat. Will Northeast Ohio have this one? Absolutely not. It is too far south. So if we look at the European model here, again, it's way too far south here for Northeast Ohio to really see anything from this. We may see a little bit of snow, the European model showing that Friday evening, but it's a glancing blow. The heaviest of the snow, again, will be into West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, and also into North Carolina. You could see some light snow in Northeast Ohio, but it's not really that big of a deal. If you look at the GFS here, the 12Z run, again, it has some lighter snow into Northeast Ohio there briefly, but the heaviest track of snow will be in, again, Kentucky, West Virginia, Tennessee, Virginia, and North Carolina. That's what we see currently. When was the last time Mexico had snow? That's a very good question. That is an answer, unfortunately, I do not have. But definitely, it's probably been some time. That's for sure. It's been at least a few winters. I know that because the last few winters have been pretty warm. And a lot of our snow tracks have been further north. Candy, thanks for watching. Mississippi watching, appreciate it. Calling for 4 inches in Knoxville. Yep, again, those are preliminary numbers. They'll be adjusted over the next 48 to 72 hours or so. But yes, they are preliminary numbers. Yeah, it looks like Knoxville here on most of the models, the GFS and the European model, are in pretty good agreement there with the snow. And if you even look over, the Canadian model has pretty good agreement as well with snow there in Knoxville. So I think snow is very likely in Knoxville, and a few to several inches will be on the way if you live in eastern Tennessee. Keith Smith, thanks for joining. Haven't had a major snowstorm in Toronto in 4 years. Believe it or not, looks like we will be missing this one too. Yes, you might see a little bit of snowfall there in Toronto. It's going to be a very light as well further to the north. Again, you can see going to the Euro model here, it shows it again a glancing blow of some maybe lake effect snow up there, but nothing too crazy. It's more further south here again with this one. How many inches is the purple? The purple begins at 6 inches, Isaac. So that's what the purple begins at, 6 inches plus. Ron, we have a ski resort in Missouri, Hidden Valley. Awesome. That's pretty awesome, especially when you get snow. I'm sure it's pretty fun there. Spring can't get here fast enough. We got somebody here that hates winter, so there we go. Thank you for the thumbs up, Aussie. They can never ruin a stream. Well, you'd be shocked. Cats can ruin streams when they meow. So my cat tends to meow at the door several times a day, so I'm pretty used to it at this point. But you know, watching from Tupelo, Mississippi. Thank you so much. Yeah, again, we are looking at the potential for some wintry precipitation down there in Tupelo. Could be on the order of all types. We could be seeing some rain, some sleet, some freezing rain, and some snow in there. In the Tupelo area. So we're keeping an eye on northern Mississippi as well. Please keep the timestamps visible. I'll try my best, Nelly. Thank you for letting me know. $7 inches in Chattanooga, question mark. Thanks, that's crazy. Well, right now, so if we're looking at Chattanooga here, let's go back to the east view. Here's the scenarios the models are putting out for at least preliminary numbers for snow with this system. For Chattanooga, we're looking at the European model showing about 4.5 to 5 inches. The GFS model here at 12Z is putting around 7 to 8 inches there in the GFS, and the Canadian model there in Chattanooga around 4 inches. So yeah, it looks like a pretty good bet for some heavier snow into the Chattanooga, Tennessee area, and that could pile up to a few to several inches there by the time the weekend comes around. Again, if you're joining, we're answering questions live here, getting you prepared for the next major winter storm that's going to be further south this time. You remember the Ohio Valley got hit, the Mid-Atlantic got hit, and the Central Plains got hit with their last system. This one's going to be much further south, including parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Tennessee, and Mississippi. All of these areas, even up into Missouri, there a couple of counties are under that winter storm watch already. And if we're just joining, we're going to go back to the screen here and show you we have winter storm watches that are already in place in the medium blues here across the DFW Metroplex, over here toward Paris, Texas, into Texarkana, for example, southeast Oklahoma. This is south and east of the Oklahoma City Metro. We have winter storm watches there. Much of the state of Arkansas, 80 to 90% of the state is under a winter storm watch. This does include areas like Jonesboro, Little Rock, Pine Bluffs, all the way back here into Fort Smith. The far northwestern reaches of Arkansas so far not under that watch, and then West Tennessee, Memphis to Jackson, we have that watch up there as well. Northern Mississippi, Tupelo, back there towards the Mississippi River and northwest Mississippi, we have that winter storm watch, and then a couple of counties here in the Boot Hill of Missouri. We have a couple of watches for that as well. So yes, winter storm watches, that is where we expect the potential for some significant snow as we move forward. Just to put a little perspective on this for you, I did dig this up as well. The National Weather Service in Dallas and Fort Worth, the record snowfall for Dallas, Fort Worth, here's some of the historical data that I did come across. You can see the 24-hour snowfall total at the DFW airport from 4 o'clock in the morning, February 11th, to 4 o'clock in the morning, February 12th. This goes all the way back to 2010, 12.5 inches, okay? So this was a 24-hour snow in 2010. February 11th, February 12th of 2010, that was 12.5 inches. And DFW's snowiest seasons, believe it or not, looking at back at the 77-78 winter, 17.6 inches. 2009 and 10, we had 15.7 inches for snow across the entire winter there. That's number 2 on the list. 63 and 64 at 15.3. That's number 3 on the list. And we go all the way back into the 1900s, into the 23-24 season of 1900s, and the 76-77 season, pretty snowy at number 5 there with 10.4 inches. So just some historical data there. DFW's most snow in February. Again, we can still see some heavy snow in February, so even if you missed this storm, definitely back in 78, we had 13.5. Number 2 on the list in 2010 was a snowy winter at 12.5. That was in February that we just talked about. And then 1924, long time ago, around 101 years ago from now, number 3 on the list was 7.5 inches. So some interesting data there. So the DFW's greatest 24-hour snowfall so far to date, again, was February 11th and 12th of 2010. That was about 15 years ago. So that was 12.5 inches. You go back further, 12.1 inches, January 15th and 16th of 1964. And then the third on the list is 8.2 inches, January 14th and 15th of 1917. So I don't know that we're quite going to be in this type of realm of top 3 with this system. I think the heaviest snowfall will be further east, but things can still change. We'll keep an eye on that. At least maybe number 3 could be in jeopardy if we see the snow totals go up with the system, like some of the models are showing, like the Canadian model. It's an outlier right now, but if it did come to fruition, then this could challenge a couple of these records for 24-hour snowfall totals. Let's look here at the winter storm of February 11th, 12th, 2010 in review, because it's a very similar synoptic kind of look to the weather pattern that we are having right now. We had a big ridge of high pressure, a kind of a big Arctic high over the eastern United States, and we had a low pressure underneath of that. Typically, you look at low pressures a little bit further underneath of the highs, and we had a lot of moisture access from the eastern Pacific and the Gulf of Mexico right there out your front door in Texas. We definitely had a lot of that in place. A classic setup for snow in the south, and this again was used by the National Weather Service in Shreveport, Louisiana here. And looking at the synoptic outlook here, let's look here at the United States view. Let's go back to the heights here and look at this. Actually, let's go to pressure. And look at this on Thursday. This is a classic look here. We got a colder high pressure system, 10,030 or 1,030 rather, and you can see we're going to see pressure starting to lower underneath of that here on the western fringe, and that is where we're going to really start to see that snow system really build up near the Gulf Coast there as we go through later this week. And that's kind of a similar synoptic setup to what we had back there in February 11th and 12th of 2010. Server Computer, thanks for the $5. Hey, Flagstaff, Arizona, snow, no snow, getting mixed forecasts. The Flagstaff area, let me take a look here at some of the guidance for the Flagstaff area. There's going to be some chances for snow back here. It does look cold enough for snow in Flagstaff. We're not going to see a lot of it, though. So really going through the middle of the month, we're not really seeing a ton of snow on the European. If we look at the GFS run, let's go back here to 12Z, and you can see in Flagstaff, again, not really that much. So if you do get precipitation in Flagstaff, I would favor snowfall. If you don't, you're just going to stay dry, obviously. I don't really see a big snow event there in Flagstaff with this one. Hey, Ashley Charles. Hi from Eastern Tennessee. We are watching. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Let's see. Scrolling down here on the... What is orange, Michelle? That is a color. Orange is a color. I don't know what map I was using when you were talking about orange. It could be the one that I was using earlier with the snow cover. If you're talking about that, that is ice cover up there. Snow cover in the blue, ice in the orange, if that's what you're talking about. I have a question from Michael Vincent about what do you think about snow in the Oklahoma City metro? There's a chance. We could see a chance of snow down here. Let's look at the European model and kind of zoom it in. We're going to zoom it in here to state view of Oklahoma. to answer your question. So let's look here at Oklahoma. Hopefully you guys can see that pretty well on your screen. There it is. European model actually has some snow there in Oklahoma. The heaviest would be to the south and east of Oklahoma City there, and then maybe some snow flurries, snow showers on the backside. Looking at the total snow there in Oklahoma, Oklahoma City may be up to an inch on the European model as far as the GFS is concerned. We're looking at maybe 1 to 2 inches, and then the Canadian model is much heavier. Again, colder bias, more moist air as well with the system, would have 1/2 foot. That is, again, an outlier. So I would say anywhere from a coating to 2 inches is a decent bet there for the Oklahoma City Metro. A coating to 2 inches. It will not be a blizzard. I'm not expecting a blizzard. If you look at the wind forecast with this, wind gust swath going all the way through Friday, we have some stronger winds coming in well behind the system. This would be into the weekend, but while it's snowing, we're not really having much down here. Even you can have ground blizzard conditions after the event is over, but that is really, really low confidence right now. And even so, wind gusts will only be under 30 miles an hour as that comes in on Friday there. Why not use the NAM? The NAM is the NAM is something. I can use the NAM real quick to show you. It's basic. The NAM is showing the same thing that I just talked about on the operational GFS and stuff. Here's the NAM. Looking there again at Thursday, showing snow and ice. Again, it's very similar to all the operational models. Again, they're all saying the same thing, except for the Canadian is going bonkers with the ice storm and the snow, and it's a little bit of an outlier there. So they're basically showing the same thing. So I could show you 50 different models. They could all say pretty much the same thing at this point. Donica, thank you for the $10. Thanks for all the time you put into keeping us updated. It's our first winter storm since moving from Florida to East Tennessee. Well, awesome. Hopefully you're able to get some wintry precipitation. Hopefully not ice, though. Hopefully it's some snow, and you can see that flying around there in eastern Tennessee. It looks like a pretty good bet there Friday afternoon, and it looks like most of the day Friday in eastern Tennessee starts around, looks like mid-morning, late morning Friday, and continues to get heavier through the afternoon. Snowfall will continue all day on Friday there in eastern Tennessee, according to the NAM that I was requested to use here. And you can see snowfall totals really piling up. The NAM is on the order of 3 to 6 inches there into eastern Tennessee. So not only will it be just snow flying around, you might have to do some shoveling and snow blowing and stuff like that, plowing into Tennessee with this type of setup. That is for sure. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, make sure you are asking your questions down below here in the chat. If you are not subscribed to the channel, again, we're doing an evening video update, so make sure you are subscribed here to Weather on the Go to get the latest weather information from that video this evening. We're going to be posting that one as well. I posted a video earlier on today. We're going to do 2 videos a day here from here on out from probably the rest of January, as we have a very active pattern. Yeah, we're only, believe it or not, we're only 295 people away from 112,000. Thank you so much for all the new subscribers that have subscribed to my page the last few days. Really do appreciate it. Helping support the channel. How much snow do you think in the Conway, Arkansas area? All right, so I don't know exactly. I believe Conway, Arkansas is near Little Rock, but I want to confirm to make sure, because I don't want to get this wrong here. Yes, you're like in central Arkansas. Yes, you're under a winter storm watch right now. The the NAM model is showing a good 1/2 foot of snow for you. So it looks like, I would say, a good 5 to 8 inches is a good bet for you there into the Conway, Arkansas area. It looks like here, according to the NAM, the snowfall begins in central Arkansas around Thursday evening, mid-evening, and then continues through the night. And then as we go into Friday morning, it's still snowing. Some heavy bursts of snow there through midday Friday. And then it starts to wrap up as we go into Friday evening. And then again, once it's said and done, it looks like we're seeing anywhere from about 5 to 8 inches worth of snow. Excuse me, is a good bet there for the Conway, Arkansas region. Yeah, there's a chance we could have some snow there in North Carolina. Right now, it's a little bit lower confidence depending on how the depth of the cold air. The NAM model wants to show western and central North Carolina from Charlotte westward there toward Asheville, into parts of northwestern South Carolina as well. A good 2 to 4 inches of snow, maybe some 6-inch snows across the Smoky Mountains region of western North Carolina. Definitely in play there. And then more snow further to the west. Thank you, Robbie Williams, for the $2 super chat. Appreciate it. The Pocahontas, Arkansas area, I can definitely take a look at that as well. I don't know how that's spelled, though. So, yeah, I can get you the information on that as well. The Pocahontas area, the best information I can give you right now. Let's see. You're in northeast Arkansas. You are in that winter storm watch. You're looking at probably, if we go back here, I think we can go to State View on Arkansas on this. Yes, we can. So if we go to Arkansas here, it looks like the heaviest snow will be in central and south central Arkansas. But you can still see anywhere, it looks like from around 2 to 4 inches worth of snow up there in northeastern Arkansas. And that does include the Jonesboro area. So Pocahontas and Jonesboro, you're kind of in that 2 to 4 inch snow range with this system as we go in towards that Friday time frame. Looks like Thursday night and Friday morning will be the snowiest periods there for the Razorback state of Arkansas. So we'll keep an eye on that. Not much for New York City as it looks now. Maybe some lighter snow. For the Northeast, we're not really excited right now yet for a big major winter storm. The NAM doesn't go that far out. We're going to go back to the Euro. And you can see, if anything in New York City, we may have some lighter flurries and snow showers Saturday. But other than that, again, it's more suppressed. The GFS is a little bit more amped up on the system here, brings heavier snows into the New York City area. If that were to occur, worst case scenario in New York City, we could have is some snow on the order of about 1 to 3 inches. But again, that is worst case scenario. So if you're seeing a worst case scenario of 1 to 3 inches, you're probably not going to get much snow there in New York City. That's what we're leaning towards. Less snow with this one, probably further south. Thank you so much, Kim K, for the $5 super chat. Fayette County, West Virginia. Absolutely. We can try to get some information on that as well. So Fayette County, West Virginia. Right now we're looking at, I believe that's South Central West Virginia. We can go back here to the Ohio Valley view. That's difficult to say. In the higher elevations, I'm not sure what you are relative to elevation there into the West Virginia area, but the European model showing a good solid swath of snow anywhere from about 1 to 3 inches for you there. The GFS model, a little bit heavier, maybe more of a 3 to 6 inch snow. So it looks like a light to moderate snow event for you. Probably enough to need the shovels as we go into the weekend. We'll say that. So thank you so much, Kim K, for the 5. And hopefully that answers your question there about Fayette County, West Virginia. New GFS looks really good for North Carolina. Yeah, the GFS at 18Z. Let's check that out here real quick. It does. It brings the snow line a little bit further to the south, actually even into central Georgia and more of the low country of South Carolina too. So definitely an encouraging sign if you're a snow lover in the deep south. Definitely this is a storm to watch as we go through the week. How much ice are we expecting on the middle peninsula of Virginia? Probably not much. I don't think we're seeing much ice with this up that far north. Any ice threats we see here on the models, or at least that I've been seeing, is mainly into southeastern and coastal Virginia. And at most, we could see a 1/4 inch there. That's with the GFS. The Euro, not excited about any ice really in Virginia. The Canadian model, really not either, even though the Canadian model is bonkers on an ice storm. It actually really doesn't show much for Virginia at all. And again, it's more in southeastern Virginia. So if you're in northern Virginia, or what you would call, what was it? The middle peninsula of Virginia, yeah, you're not seeing much. So not worried about that. Thank you, Kim K. Appreciate it. Thank you, Hunter, my favorite weatherman. Thank you so much, John James, CR. Appreciate that. Please check Stafford, Virginia. Absolutely. And again, some of this is preliminary data. Things will change over the next couple of days. This system has yet to really form. So if we're looking there at the Stafford area, we're not worried about ice. If anything, it's going to be snow for your area there. And we could be seeing a little bit of it or a lot of it, depending on what model you look at. If we look at the Euro model, we could be seeing anything from around 1 inch to 2 inches there. If we look at the GFS, a little bit more amped up look here. At the 12Z, showing more of a 2 to 4 inch snow. So a lighter event there for Virginia, anywhere from around 1 inch to maybe up to 4 inches there would be a good bet for the Stafford area by the time we get to the weekend, which would be like Saturday, okay? So that's when the snow will start moving in Saturday and then continue through the day, and then Sunday it'll be done there in the Stafford area. Same thing there in Winchester, Virginia. Again, it'll be a Saturday snow. We're looking probably more so at around a 1 to 3 or 2 to 4 inch snow there in the Winchester area as well. Not too concerned about ice for that area neither. The Canadian model is an outlier. I would not be paying attention to that very much. We are continuing to watch it for trends, but I would not, would not bet the bank on it. That's for sure. That is definitely a model run for especially ice that is just crazy. I don't see an ice storm of 3/4 of an inch of ice that widespread that far south. Like if we go to the Canadian model, like look at this. This is just insane. Like if we go to the central view here, like, look at this. This shows over 1 inch of ice accumulation from central Texas all the way to southern Arkansas. Widespread 1/2 inch to 3/4 in Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and all the way over here into South Carolina, North Carolina, and Southeast Virginia. That's just not going to happen. It's too widespread, too overdone. And even the sleet is overdone on here. I think we probably could see a couple inches of sleet here and there, but like 4 inches of sleet in southern Arkansas, probably not going to happen. It's a bit overdone on the moisture with this system. And the cold air, too. The Canadian is really biased toward the cold air. Pittsburgh. Liam, thanks for joining. The Pittsburgh area, we're looking at snow, all snow with the system. There's no question about that. So any precip that you get will be all snow. It could be some okay snow, I guess. It's not going to be the biggest winter storm you've ever seen there into the Pittsburgh area. We're looking at on the Euro model showing around 1 to 2 inches. The GFS model there showing a little bit more, around 2 inches there as well. And again, the crazy Canadian run, we'll look at that as well, and that shows about 2 inches. So it looks like around 1 to 2 inches is a good bet there for you in the Pittsburgh area. A lot of that snow, though, in Pittsburgh will be coming in early this weekend, okay? So we're not going to see snow tomorrow in Pittsburgh. We're not going to see snow on Thursday or Friday. This will mainly be Saturday type snow. Saturday early morning into the mid-morning hours for Pittsburgh. All right, so if you guys have not yet subscribed, if you're just joining, we're doing major winter storm coverage here live on the channel, answering any questions that you have about precipitation type, the track of the storm, any totals, preliminary snow and ice totals that we could have with this, as well as rain totals, and any just general questions you have about the weather or anything like that. Make sure to ask them. If you are here, make sure to subscribe to the channel, press the subscribe button, post notifications, turn them all on. We're going to have a video out by mid-evening, by 9 o'clock Central Daylight Time. We do that every single evening here when we have active weather, and we're likely to have another one again today. So make sure that you are subscribed to the channel so you can get that video this evening. Yeah, Massachusetts, Popkern, we're not really looking here at much snow with this. Massachusetts, the GFS model is the most amped up look at this. If this came to fruition, then we would have a little bit more snow perhaps in areas like Boston, but again, or like Cape Cod, for example. But that's right now low confidence. The storm is still way, way back. It hasn't really formed completely yet back there into like northern Mexico and stuff like that. Let's see. Tulsa, Oklahoma. Great question. So let's go back to the Oklahoma view here real quick, and let's look at how much snow we could see there in Tulsa. So according to the Euro or the GFS shows about 1 inch, 1.5 inches. there. And the European shows around an inch or so. And the Canadian, the crazy bonkers Canadian there, is also showing, it's showing a crazy 3 to 5 inch snow event there in Tulsa, which still cannot be ruled out. So we'll keep a very close eye on that for you. That's an outlier, the one you're seeing now. I would say a good 1 inch of snow is probably a good bet for you. At least 1 inch there in Tulsa when it's all said and done. Can you look at Westmoreland, Tennessee? I sure can. So let's look here at the Westmoreland area. And then we'll look at northeastern New Jersey after that. So Westmoreland, Tennessee, we're looking at North Tennessee. So we're going to change that over to the eastern view here. So we're looking here at the model runs that we are seeing. Right now the Euro is showing around 4 inches there for Westmoreland. The GFS is showing a good, I would say, 5 inches. The Canadian is showing about 5 to 6 inches. So a few inches of snow is likely there in the Westmoreland area as we go through Saturday. That's the way it's looking now. So it'll be enough to shovel. It'll be more than enough to shovel there in Tennessee. It'll be more than enough to snow blow and plow as well. It'll definitely be plowable snow for sure. St. Louis could see some snow. The Canadian showing around 2 inches there in St. Louis. The GFS model showing around 2 inches, and the Euro is showing around an inch. So a very light snow for St. Louis. Unlike the one we just had, this is going to be much lighter of an event and not expecting as much there in the St. Louis area. Maybe just enough to shovel in St. Louis. Let's look at northeastern New Jersey as I promised. Again, the Euro model is showing right now a very suppressed look, only about a ½ inch to an inch. The GFS model here is showing, again, about an inch, and the Canadian model is not really anything. So at most an inch of snow in northeastern New Jersey. It could be a little bit heavier than that if the models kind of converge on more of a stronger snowstorm and a nor'easter. But again, right now, the models have been trending away from that idea so far. You're welcome, Julie. Thanks for joining. How much snow in inches will Massachusetts get? Not much. We're not looking at much snow there in Massachusetts. So again, we were talking about Cape Cod earlier in Boston. Maybe a ½ an inch from the system, and if we get a nor'easter like the GFS model is trying to hint at a little bit, we could get maybe some heavier snow on Cape Cod, maybe around 4 inches, but again, that is low confidence right now. So we'll keep a very close eye on that for you. Again, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, folks. Anybody that has questions on here, again, subscribe to the channel. We're going to answer some of those questions again tonight when I post my video. We'll have more and new, fresh data to provide to you in the video. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel and turning on all post notifications for that later. We're going to be posting that video around 9 o'clock here this evening. Aiden, thanks for the asking a question there. Cincinnati, great question. We haven't covered that either. So let's look here at Ohio. So we're going to zoom into Ohio here. Cincinnati in the southwest corner of Ohio. We have the potential to see on the GFS model, looks like about 2 to 3 inches there in Ohio. Looking at the Euro, we're in the same ballpark, around 3 inches, and the Canadian around 2 to 3. So it looks like about 1 to 3 inches of snow will be a good bet there for Cincinnati with this system. Not a big snowmaker. Again, unlike we saw this past winter storm, it's not going to be as much, but we're definitely still seeing a chance of some snow, a couple inches there. So around 1 to 3 inches there in Cincinnati. That'll go through your Saturday time frame. Most of that will fall Friday into Saturday morning. Maryland, so yes, we'll look at Maryland here as well. So we're going to go over to the Maryland view. Looking here at the Euro model, Western Maryland up there with the higher elevation, maybe with the the Appalachians, could be seeing over 3 inches. Looking at GFS, the GFS model, again, maybe over 6 inches in far Western Maryland, and also over here into Southern Maryland too. And that's only because it shows more of an amped up look with the nor'easter possible. If that did occur, we could have 6 inches. But it looks like the least amount of snow will be into central Maryland. We're not looking at much there. So if you're in central Maryland, not looking at much, it's more western or southern Maryland that will have the best chance of seeing at least a few inches going into the weekend. And a lot of this won't fall until about Saturday in the Maryland region. So Augusta, Georgia. So let's take a look here at Augusta, Georgia, and answer as many questions about that as we can. So Augusta, Georgia. Looking at that, you're kind of, what would that be? That would be far eastern Georgia there. So it's a very tough call. I can see already by looking at it visually on here. It looks like the European model has the snow mainly to your north. And so that would put the ice threat in play, I would say. Let's look here at that real quick. So sleet, maybe some sleet just to your north as well. And again, yeah, ice to your north. I'm inclined to say the European is probably a warm solution for you. Yeah, it looks like mostly rain there in Augusta, Georgia on the 12Z Euro that came in around midday today. The GFS 12Z is showing more ice further south, but you mostly kind of on the line between freezing rain, sleet, and rain, so it's kind of hard to say. And the cold Canadian bias is the one giving you a crazy ice storm. I wouldn't look at that too much. Again, that is a little bit, or a lot of bit overdone, to say the least. So looks like mostly rain in Augusta for now, the way it looks. Lexington, North Carolina. Yep, we can check that out here as well. So the Lexington, North Carolina region. You're there kind of just outside Charlotte, if you will. So you're in more of central North Carolina. You look like it's going to be more either it's going to be wintry precipitation. So we're looking at either snow, ice, or freezing rain on the Euro. The GFS is the same deal as well. Actually, the GFS brings more of an ice storm to your area, so that would be concerning. If the GFS model was correct, we could actually see upwards to a 1/4 inch of ice there into the Lexington, North Carolina area. The Canadian bringing that ice maybe near your area just south as well, but again, that's an outlier. The Euro is also bringing 1/10 of an inch of ice. So it looks like more of an ice setup for you there than snow in Lexington, North Carolina. Again, if this was right today, then that would be the case. But again, things will still change over the next couple of days, so stay tuned with that. If the colder air comes in sooner, then we would have more snow. And looking at the sleet, again, sleet and freezing rain again in the Lexington area. Yeah, that's what we're looking at. Banner Elk, North Carolina. So let's look at that real quick. So the Banner Elk, North Carolina area. Yeah, we're looking again at some snow probably in your area there as well. So at the Euro, we're looking mostly at some snow, but there could be a period of time where we have some freezing drizzle and sleet mixing in before finishing with snow on the backside of the storm system. And this precipitation will be coming in around Friday evening, continuing through the day, at least the morning on Saturday, and kind of wrapping up later in the afternoon or the early evening. So in the Banner Elk area, we're looking at mostly snow, but some freezing drizzle and sleet may mix in at times as well. Southwestern Pennsylvania, we're going to be all snow with this system. It's going to be cold enough for all snow there. As far as snowfall totals, again, not much for southwestern Pennsylvania. Similar to the question about Pittsburgh earlier, we are mainly looking at snowfall totals of around 1 to 3, maybe 4 inches if we see a little bit stronger of a solution come in over the next 24 hours. But it's going to be a lighter snow with this system coming in for southwestern Pennsylvania. We are only 254 people away from 112,000. That is the goal. So if you want to help out, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And again, we'll help you out by giving you the latest accurate weather information. We'll have another video this evening around 9 p.m. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you are just joining here, so you get the latest information on that. We are only 254 people away from 112,000. Thank you so much for the support. I definitely appreciate it. Dallas, Texas. Yeah, the Dallas area is tricky. We're going to go down and see if we can get to the Texas view here of Texas. So there we go. Dallas right now looking at mostly snow, but I could see a case where we could have some sleet and freezing rain. So looking at the Euro, looks like around 5 to 8 inches of snow there in Dallas on the Euro. The GFS here, that is just coming in as well. The 12Z is not really that crazy on snow there, maybe 1 to 3. And the same thing there with the 18Z GFS. So the GFS much lighter for snow than the Euro. The Canadian is crazy for snow, showing over a foot of snow in Dallas. So just tons of different solutions from light snow to moderate snow to heavy snow. We'll just have to wait and see what happens here. A lot of solutions there for Dallas. As far as ice goes, looking at the ice threat on the Canadian further south of Dallas, looking at the ice on the GFS model here, may have more ice potential. We're seeing some of that showing around a 1/10 or a 100th of an inch of ice on the Euro as well. So an icy mix is what I would call it there for the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So I would say sleet, freezing rain, and snow, even some heavy snow. If we have some dynamic cooling on the backside of the system, we could have more heavy snow in the DFW area. Looks like precipitation begins there around midday Thursday. So noon Thursday going all the way through the evening hours and then into Friday morning. It looks like it wraps up on the Euro around Friday midday. GFS still has it wrapping up midday Friday as well. So midday Thursday to midday Friday is our time frame for wintry weather there in North Texas. Which model do I trust the most? Well, last storm, the GFS was right. So I would not trust the Canadian model, that's for sure. It's way too crazy. I would say kind of a middle ground between the European and the GFS. Kind of a mix of those two is what I am kind of looking at right now. So the Euro looks pretty good. Honestly, a suppressed look would make sense because the colder air coming out of Canada would suppress the storm further south, making it drier there for the Northeast and the I-95 corridor. The GFS also makes sense as well. If we phase the systems more, we would have more of a system producing a kind of a Miller B type of look with a snow track up there along the I-95 corridor up toward Cape Cod too. So, kind of a mix of those two, I would say, would be the best way to go right now. If we look at the GFS ensemble here, this is just kind of taking all the members together. Most of these ensembles show ice beginning in Dallas, flipping over to snow in Dallas. Little Rock, we start as maybe ice, change over to snow. Mostly snow in Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Virginia. An ice event is showing up from northeast Alabama, North Georgia, into the Carolinas. That has been very consistent and then even is on the ensemble guidance here. And then it actually shows a little bit of snow for the Northeast. But again, emphasis on the little bit of snow. We're not seeing a lot of snow with this right now. The ensembles are showing light snow from Boston down through Cape Cod, Hartford, Providence, Long Island, New York City, you name it, Trenton, as we go through the weekend. All right, so if you guys are still here, make sure, again, to subscribe to the channel. And in a few hours from now, we'll be posting a video around 8:30, 9 o'clock this evening on the newest updates of the winter storm. We are only 251 people away now from 112,000. So if you want to subscribe, turn on all post notifications, be ready for that video here as well. So let's see if we got any more questions coming in. You're welcome. Knoxville, Tennessee. Knoxville, we're going to see mostly snow and a few inches coming for Knoxville. So the Knoxville area right now looks like a pretty decent snow event coming for your area, the likes of which we haven't seen in a while. Knoxville looks like we're going to see a good at least 2 to 4 inches there. So 2 to 4 inches there in the Knoxville area. Hey, Snowies, thanks for joining. Appreciate you modding as well. It definitely is the most accurate at this range, Gavin. I do agree. Ohio here, are we going to get in on this one? Southern Ohio could see a good 1 to 3 inches of snow. In eastern Ohio, if you're in northern or northwest Ohio, you're going to see very light amounts, if any snow at all. Very light amounts there in that region. So we'll keep a very close eye on that. All right, So that is all I have for you today, folks. We're just kind of updating you on the latest track, the timing, and any snowfall scenarios, ice scenarios that we do have with this system, going over the 3 main operational models, the ensemble GFS that we just showed you as well. Still a lot that need to be ironed out, especially when it comes to snow totals. Who will see the heaviest snow? Will it be Dallas? Will it be Little Rock? Will it be Knoxville or Nashville? Still a question mark at this point. Will the Northeast see a heavy snow, or will they see less snow? That is still a question mark. We won't get that answered until probably tomorrow. We'll try to get the latest updates and information with this forecast as we go into this evening's video, so make sure you're tuned in for that. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to be posting that video here in a few hours by mid-evening, by 9 o'clock or so. So again, subscribe to the channel. Like the live stream if you have it down below. Definitely appreciate that. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all the super chats, everybody. Thanks for all your awesome questions. We'll be doing more of these lives when we have higher impact winter storms this season, with even severe weather. This storm doesn't seem to have a severe weather side on it, but it's something we'll keep an eye on as we go through the month of January. So thanks for watching, everybody. Have a safe rest of your Tuesday evening out there, and we'll talk to you in a few hours when that video comes out, all right? Make sure you're subscribed. I'll talk to you later.